Welcome. I'm Joan Brueggemann, member of the MSU College of Nursing Alumni Board. It is my pleasure to moderate this broadcast of Conversations, a series of webinars sponsored by the college. The topic of today's webinar is Develop Your Mindset, Recognizing the Entrepreneurial Potential in You, and will be presented by Lily Carrier, a 2004 BSN graduate. Let me begin with the disclosure. Our speaker attests that no financial relationship exists between herself and any commercial supporting entity which would represent a conflict of interest or commercialize any presentation content. And there are no CEUs available for today's presentation. Now I'd like you to meet our presenter. Since graduating in 2004, Lily Carrier has combined her nursing skills with entrepreneurship and created a successful business as a result. In 2016, she published a book titled Unlock: Nurse Entrepreneurs Reclaim Your Hidden Power. This is an easy guide full of actionable intelligence for nurse entrepreneurs seeking income, respect, and freedom. As we evolve in a new phase of healthcare, possessing the skills to recognize opportunities within your profession is essential. This presentation will walk you through step by step on how to organize your ideas and implement them. I encourage everyone to type their questions into the Q&A box throughout the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have time for questions and answers. Lily, welcome.
Thank you, Joan. Thanks so much. Thanks, Marco, and everyone who work hard to make today happen. And it's truly my pleasure to be here to talk about this very important topic to you. I hope everyone is doing all right during this very uncertain time. I hope you are holding strong and healthy, and you are very welcome to join me today. I know this topic is very rare. You know, most of us probably haven't thought about that. It's kind of not an unusual topic that makes it more interesting for me to share what I have today with you. I hope you will enjoy it. Before we get started though, it was a nice introduction about my book from Joan, but I would like you to know a little bit more about me. So you know who you're going to be spending time with for the next hour or so. As you can see, my career path is focusing on mainly two areas. Luckily, the two of my favorite ones, nursing and business. I have tried to connect my nursing skills with the real world business, whether it's over the other side of the ocean or in our country. I was so happy that I made a decision 20 years ago to take the opportunity and challenge to stay in this free land. And luckily, I got graduated from a wonderful nursing school and became one of our Spartans, just like you. So that was the best decision I ever made in my life. In the past 15 years or so, I have been coaching and working and building businesses and organizations. The latest one I did is called Nursing Career Consultant, which is related to our career business success coaching and training for our nurses. And as you can see that I love visiting arts galleries and pottery, collecting and making them as well. I have to say that the best pieces I ever made and ever collected are not those perfect ones, but those ones that the artists happen to make mistakes. And then they figure out how to redesign and refine them into the pieces that in my eyes, I see they are masterpieces. So considering making a masterpieces for art, it makes me happy to see your career, your business, or your organization grow with careful design and redesign and hardworking and consistent, persistent refining. And it makes me even happier to see that I can contribute to the building process with you. So let's get started then. This topic seems to be really big, right? Mindset and potential. That sounds like a very huge topic to us. So let's get started with a simple question. What is an entrepreneur? When we first look at this question, it looks simple, but it's very broad. When we first look at this concept, and we probably couldn't help to connect with some stereotype from Silicon Valley, right? Those people who got a lot of money from venture capital and made a huge distribution or contribution to this economy or society. So that feels like too far away from us, nothing to do with the daily life. So today I would like to focus on what does being an entrepreneur mean to you? What is your entrepreneurial potential? So that's what I would like to focus on today. Think about anyone or anything in your past experience. It could be yourself. It could be your family member, your classmates, your coworkers, or your neighbor, anyone in your church or your community who has identified a problem and came up with a potential solution, or maybe actually did something to add value to resolve that problem, to add value to people's lives, make people's life easier. That may be very particularly entrepreneurial to you. That is something that I would like to talk about today. It's what I call entrepreneurial behavior. So before we get to the behavior part, and let's define some of the attributes, because when we think about the concept entrepreneurs, it just couldn't help to think about who they are and what kind of attributes and characteristics do they have, right? There are tons of textbooks and information from internet that explain this concept. I list some of them for you to take a look here. One set of the characteristics has something to do with vision, creativity, problem solving. Another set has something to do with self-belief and autonomy, and then mindset about learning and tolerance for ambiguity. And another set has something to do with resilience and tenacity. All those words are so big, right? You're going to ask me, Lily, how does that going to do with my life on a daily basis? You're right. It's hard to connect all those attributes, so abstract, to our daily life. So what I usually do in my way, I will reframe them from those abstract attributes to behaviors. I talk directly to the center of my brain, right? From biology perspective and biological perspective, we also know where is the control center to our behaviors, to our emotion and behaviors. And that's what we call limbic cortex, right? You're going to know more than I know because I haven't learned those things for a while. So what I will ask you to do the same, to reframe them to simple words, simple verbs: have an idea, believe, learn, and persist. So by doing that, you feel like they are attainable. Yes, you're right. They are attainable behaviors. They are not just abstract attributes. So rather than thinking about problem solving, vision, those big words, you simply have an idea. You can have an idea, I can have an idea, everyone else can have an idea, right? Rather than think about self-belief, and you just simply believe. Believe in yourself, believe in your products, your process, your service flow, whatever you come up with for the problem resolving. Believe in your purpose. And rather than think about tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty, just simply learn. Learn what's working and what's not working. And rather than think about resilience, and just simply persist. But I want to point it out though, not persist on what you're doing repeatedly, but persistent in your learning what's working and what's not working. So a better way to illustrate those attributes would be those three steps, three stages cycle. At the beginning, we need to have an idea. We need to be creative to come up with the idea, right? And what I like to use the words is the hypothesis. Come up with a hypothesis. What if I do this and what's going to happen? And then the differences between entrepreneurial behavior and non-entrepreneurial behavior is a threshold in between the ideas and the testing. So if you try your ideas and putting on the test what I call prototyping, then you actually will get to the third stage to learn. and you actually will get the feedback from your prospects, from your people around you, to know what's working, what is not working, to gain that knowledge. Then you loop back to refine your ideas and your insights and get a better hypothesis, right? And then you retest again, re-prototype again, and relearn again. This is where persistence comes into play. As a matter of fact, though, this is all, everybody knows this from nursing school, right? We learned that from nursing school for 4 years, right? So this is actually, in my opinion, is a better approach, a better model to do the think, do, learn business cycle, because they gave us a reminder to assess first. Before you come up with your idea, before you can create, what do you need to do? You need to assess the situation, just like we learned from the nursing school. We need to get to know what problem that might be. And then we need to, when you are assessing, diagnosing, you're actually identifying the problems, right? And then when you are planning, you actually coming up with your ideas and insights with your creativity. And then what I call them prototyping. When you are implementing, you are actually doing. And when you are evaluating, and you're actually learning. And then you learn what's not working, you bounce back to your assessment again and assess what the problem might be in relates to what is not quite working. And then you retest them again and relearn again, and with the persistence comes into play. So this is actually a better model to me. When I connect my nursing skills with the real world business, nursing models, the critical thinking nursing process helped me a lot. It's even better than most of the business model that I have known, to be honest. That's what I want you to know. So now you know. Imagine that this is what analysis that I usually tell myself is, imagine there's a frog on the bottom of the well. What do you think the frog would think about the size of the sky? Of course, he's going to think the size of the sky is just as big as the disk of the well opening, right? But what if the frog could rely on what he has, his ability to jump? He will see the sky as infinite, isn't it? So I would like you to remember the world is abundant. The entrepreneurial behaviors that I just introduced to you, they are actually attainable. They can be generated through learn by learn. You would not need to be born with those things. Nobody can be born with those things, and everybody has to learn from how to be an entrepreneur. And that is just a fact. I will talk about the proof of concept of why I said that just in a few minutes. So you do possess everything you need to know, everything you need to unlock your potential. That is your entrepreneurial behavior. So the question is, okay, now we know we have the potential. Now we know we can unlock that with what we learn in our nursing school. But how to develop the right mindset to unlock your potential even better, even at a higher level? What is the right mindset anyway? So there is this well-known professor whose name is Carol Dweck, who's teaching in Stanford University out West Coast. She did a very, very well-known research about mindset, and she actually published a book called Mindset. I highly encourage you to read that book. It's an awesome book, absolutely excellent. And what he wrote in her book is that our IQs, our brain actually is just a starting point. You may think that some people, the big shots entrepreneur are smarter than us. They're just more intelligent than all of us. You may think that's the reason why we cannot even think about our nursing profession needs to go there, because we're just not smarter than them. Sometimes our profession has that kind of concept, mindset. So I want you to know, based on Carol Dweck's research, our abilities are developed through dedication and hard work. And that's what she called growth mindset. This is actually a proof concept to what I just introduced about the business cycle, the think, the act, the learn. And that actually is from this growth mindset. And we need to persistently doing to be able to develop that, doing that cycle to be able to develop the entrepreneurial behavior. So now you're going to ask me, Lily, what drives us to learn then? Yeah, I know the growth mindset is the key, right? But what drives us to learn? The author of Drive, the truth about what motivates us and why, said, David Pink is his name. He said, once we are truly, sustainably motivated by autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So let's talk about focus on purpose today. Purpose actually is going to unlock your potential at an even higher level and to actually make you to be the best version of you. Now, how to identify that purpose then? There's a lot of ways to identify, but here I just want to be simple, right? Just come up with some simple questions. So if you want to identify your why before you do something, then this is the question you need to ask yourself. What really matters to you? What drives you? What gets you up in the morning? What's off your limits? So what kind of things that you think you cannot do? You just off your limit. That is a question you need to ask. So then you probably think, well, do I have to identify my why every time I think about something I want to do? What if I already know how to do it? Do I really need to know that why before I do it? Well, the answer simply, it's no, right? You don't have to. But if you do have a why to be identified before you're doing it, before you even know how to do it, and the journey that you are doing it will be a lot happier, and will make things a lot easier for you. And the questions here I come up with for the answer, it will be a lot easier to come up with the answer because your action aligns with your purpose. Now, those are the questions that I would like you to think about your action. Whenever you want to do something, you want to ask yourself, what's the job can't leave undone? What's the itch that needs to be scratched? What's the problem that must be resolved? And what's the version of you that you have to become? So if you do have a purpose behind those questions that I put out here, it would be a lot easier for you to find the answer, right? Just like a very well-known business coach, I've been listening to him for years. His name is Simon Sinek. And he discovered this, what he called golden circle. He encouraged us to all think from the inside out. Well, that is just another proof of concept to what we just said, to why we need to think from the why from the David Pink's book, Drive. This proof of concept telling us that if we do know the purpose, cause, or belief behind what we are doing, usually our action taken to realize the why would be a lot better. And the success rate and the best outcome will be, the probability for best outcome will be a lot higher. So, but you know what, don't worry if you don't have this mindset yet. And this is why we're here today. So we're discussing in which way would it be best for us to get a best outcome, right? So as a matter of fact, most of the population started with the what. Most of us knows what to do if we really want to do something. Like you going to school, you want to pass the test, and you know what to do. Some of us knowing how to do it. Some of us has a very, very good tactics to take the test, to prepare the materials, to do anything you want to do. But only a few of us really think from the inside out. That is the research shows. So let's start thinking with the why from now on. Now you know that you're talking directly into the center of your cortex that control your behaviors. That is why we start with a why. And then from the why to activate your how and what. Your what and how actually comes back, activate your why again. You see the coherence and you see this is the easier way and more successful way to think. Luckily, I observed through my career path, through the years, that our nurses are very good about coming up with a calling. 70% of a nurse profession population has a why. And we know why we are in this profession. That is a very good trait. So let's keep it up. Let's keep thinking this why on a daily basis. And here's an example, a sample that I would like to share with you through my past experience in terms of how to connect the business skills with the nursing skills in those two worlds, how to build a bridge for that. So this is going to show you just briefly, how do I identify my why and how do I practice that think, do, act by even using a better nursing model, critical thinking model to get a better outcome in terms of developing my entrepreneurial behavior. So the setting, the background is in an elder law practice setting, and we are doing the transition care and advanced care for aging population. At the beginning, they only have attorneys and legal assistants like any other law setting, right? And so, but when the practice grew fast and new ways and new models to do business to meet clients, patients' needs were in demand. So what should I do at that point? If I just jump in, fix the problem, right? That will be just fix the pinpoint problem at one time, one point. But how to do this systematic way? So I think about what I learned from nursing school, assess. So I didn't jump in to do the what first. I assess first. I assess the patient's needs. What do they need? They need assistance for long-term care. They need somebody to be able to determine their needs and create a plan for them and follow through with them. That's what they need. They need people to hold their hands. And what about the profession's needs? They need pretty similar things. They need somebody who knows what they're doing to assess and monitor the patient's or the client's physical, mental, financial, social status. This has to be an ongoing basis. So it's ongoing needs for somebody who knows what they are doing. So for that reason, I figured out there was some common area here from both ends. And what's missing is the human interaction among them. What's missing is there was gap here, gap there. So not everybody's happy. For that reason, I think about just by nature being a nurse for years, and I thought about why do I need to resolve that problem for them? What is my purpose? What I'm doing every day here? Who are around me? How can I add value to their lives? Okay, when I think about those whys, I thought about my beliefs in terms of a human interaction just in my life. I believe this golden rule, treating others as you want to be treated. If I'm a patient, I want to be treated as family when I go to the whatever organization. If I'm a client, I want to be treated as your neighbors when I'm in your legal law firm, right? So for that purpose, I try to be creative for my hypothesis, my ideas. So I got the assessment, and now I need to come up with the ideas, how to get this started. I need to come up with my hypothesis before I can test anything, right? The word I would like to introduce you is called bricolage. This word I did not know at that time. I know it now through my life learning, but it's really helpful for me. If there's anything you did not remember today from this presentation, and please remember this word, because this word, it can motivate you to think, to create, to be innovative. And that's really helpful to me for my whole career path. So what that means is in the business world, we call bricolage is to construct something from something, construct a new item from some old items. Now in the art, the artist will say, create something new, a new piece of art from the same material, but just different shape and different color. That is called bricolage. Now, what is my bricolage at that time? Imagine that you're going to invite somebody to your house for dinner. Okay, what are you going to do first? Are you going to just rush to the store first, Or are you going to open your refrigerator first and see what do you have? Okay, I would say most of you will agree, right? Open my refrigerator, my pantry, and see what do I have first. And then you see what's in the store that you don't have. Now that's called brokerage. So what if I connect with my purpose through combining my nursing skills to design a roadmap for them, to optimize their workflow, to better serve the needs of patients and professions all together? Then the chance for them to feel like a home, that's what I want to feel, at our organization will be increased. That's my hypothesis. Okay, what if I stop there, never do anything? Then my purpose will not be activated, right? So in order to activate my purpose, I need to come up with a prototype. This prototype, what I call is NCMES. It's a system to assess the patient's needs and to meet the profession's needs and to meet everybody's needs. It's called Nursing Case Management Aftercare Prototype. And how does this going to work for them? There's a lot of ins and outs here. I don't have time to get into the woods, but if you're really interested, you can send me email. We can talk about that more. But the point I would like to make today here is to let you know, you got to come up with a prototype when you have an idea and a hypothesis. Otherwise, your entrepreneurship potential will not be able to further move ahead. Okay, so this is what I learned from the prototyping after collecting information, doing survey, and knowing what's working, what's not working. I find out effectiveness was working. We got some positive comments, we got less complaints, of course, increased revenue, right? That's all good for business. And then what's not working is the efficiency. It takes too long for all the rest of a staff member like me to get into the service flow. It's just increased overhead as well. So more ideas needs to be looped back to create a better hypothesis, to refine the ideas, to retest again, to promote efficiency. That's what I learned. So the think, do, learn cycle, it's actually what I use at that time to do to use the nursing critical thinking model to really do the business at that time. It's at the beginning, I assess the needs, and then I identify the problems, and then I try to define my why, remember, right? And then I came up with the hypothesis, which has to be aligned with my purpose, right? Better be that way. And then I testing with the NCMES, that's what I call prototyping. And then I evaluate and learn and look back to the assessment again, and then retest again, relearn persistently until I get to the point that I'm happy with and actually work for everybody to that point. That would be a lot of ins and outs in between, but that's the key, persistently doing it and learning. So the truth is, the more you are feeling engaged and satisfied on your personal level, the better why you will identify and the closer you will be to your career success. That is what I learned. So now you know you have the potential, entrepreneurial potential. And now you know you even have the tools and steps to unlock your potential. So you're going to tell me, you're going to ask me, what are we going to do with this potential, right? What's out there for us? I think all of you probably more interested in this topic than why, to some level, because a lot of times we do wonder, what can we do in the market? Given the aging population, chronic disease, and high costs, especially the current pandemic COVID situation, I do think you have an important contribution to meet the demand for safe, quality, patient-centered, and accessible, affordable care. There's a lot of opportunity here that I list here as a brief list for you to, just for your reference. Nursing innovation, it's always on demand. We are just quick fixes. We like to fix things. There's a lot of opportunity there for you. Care coordination and management, just a sample that I talk about. And home care, right now, it's a huge demand for home care health and hospice because the COVID aftercare patient. and non-medical like psychosocial, vocational, educational, and even just the daily non-medical care items. There's a lot of a demand for that. And nurse practitioner practice, those are related to the primary care. And our school has a fabulous practitioner programs that you guys know more than I know. Advanced care planning, that's talking about when your patient are incapacitated and what do you need to do to make, who's going to make financial and medical decisions for them. And life care planning, that has something to do with the resource calculating and knowing how much resource they have financially, socially, and community-wise to provide the best quality of life within their life expectancy. Legal nurse consulting has a lot to do with pre-litigation to help the legal professionals to grow. So you can be a very good innovator if you just observe what's happening in your church. I'm sure you have a lot of experience before. You have done something that actually make people's life better in your community, in your church, your school, your hospital. So what's the emergent opportunity then? When we think about this topic, we can't stop asking, how COVID affects us. You probably have seen a lot of things happening around you. Everyone else's life is changing. It's totally different than before COVID time. So here I want to focus on how does COVID affect our healthcare to provide the care to patients. COVID sets direction for transformative healthcare solution. COVID demands new models for care. COVID accelerates overdue tech shifts. I want to explain this in a more detailed way. That would be, I came up with this two major field that would need this, that you will have the potential opportunities to think about what you can do, what you can offer to the patient care. One of them is a telehealth services, which is using the video to connect people. There is a nursing home locally, just near us here. They use the laptops and HIPAA compliant video conferencing to get the, get the patient to see their loved ones, which is brilliant, which is very, very nice. And another major area I would like to mention to you briefly, this is kind of foreign, maybe you haven't heard about it, maybe you do. With the new generation of a nursing profession, I'm so confident that you probably heard about this word, Internet of Things, called IoTs. This is to use the infrastructure, security, collaboration, and other capabilities from the cloud base to offer the new model of service to our patients. One of the major model is called remote patient monitoring, what we call RPM. There is a RPM's introduction here. We just recently did a very good project for postdocs for one of the company near Detroit. And this is the data collecting tools that collect the vital signs of blood sugar and weights and the oxygen saturation from the patients through their, could be their cell phone, their smartphone, their tablets, and also if they have a Wi-Fi at home and via the Bluetooth, and then to transmit those readings into the caregiver's office. And we can even combine the billing for the providers to the insurance company. So this is a very, very complex and a big combination of the technology platform to offer the service to the, especially for the after COVID patients. It's very helpful. They are really appreciative with this model because they offer them the continuous care after they got discharged from the hospital or nursing home. Why, you probably think, Lily, why do I need to know this, right? I mean, why do I need to know those technology stuff? And I got, our hospital has a tech, IT department, and everybody knowing what they're doing, so I don't have any job for this. But let me tell you, the key reason for nursing case management and RPM, the remote patient monitoring system, to be successful, the key factor here is education. How are you going to educate the patients and patients' families and other professions around you? This is what our profession will come into play, because our nurses occupied a unique position of trust with the patient population. How many of you feel like the patient really want to listen to you more than anyone else telling them? Because you have the most position, the best position to connect with them. If you have a purpose there, it would be a lot easier. Yeah, like I said before. So for that reason, especially for a new generation of nursing fellows, you know what I'm talking about. And the technology platform for you, it's not that foreign. You were raised in the technology era. You're so familiar with everything with the smartphone and tablets. You can set up the tablets pre-set up for the patients instead of let them figure it out by themselves easily. So that is just an example for you to know that it's so easy for you to teamed up with the tech support, and other than the other way around. The tech people to connect back with you will be a lot harder than you connect with them. And because the key for the success here for this new model of business is the education. So here's the takeaway I would like you to have today. You can be not only advocate with a strong clinical background, excellent communicators with a myriad of resources, but also the essential and critical leaders to optimize patients' autonomy, independence, and self-actualization. So here you have a lot of why to think about, why you want to do this, right? Why you want to think about this. There are some more opportunities I would like to briefly introduce to you as like I said before on the list is nursing, innovating. So we are master of quick fixers. How many of you have fixed the issues on your floor or in your family or in your neighborhood or in your community? I bet you have a lot to share for that. I can't wait to hear it at our question answer session. So we are actually the greatest resource in healthcare innovation. I absolutely believe in that. So another opportunity, it could be the life care planner. Like I said, that you estimate the source and then their life expectancy and how to meet their needs for the highest quality of life within their life expectancy. And of course, LNC is for the pre-litigation service. You can offer them the best interest for all the parties to not go through the long haul trial time. Now, here's the fast expanding area that I briefly touch base, like the NCM, RPM, home care for after COVID, primary care with your practitioner program. Insurance knowledge base has a lot to do with automobile insurance, such as malpractice insurance and workers' comp insurance, long-term care, and yeah, and those are non-medical here. That I mentioned it briefly before. So now you know you have the entrepreneurship potential. And it's not something that you have to be born with. It's something you can learn from, and you can practice on that. You can cultivate that. And you possess everything you need to unlock that potential. I'm not kidding. Our nursing critical care process, that process that I just introduced to you, that is the best model that I have ever used in my business career and for the decision-making and problem resolving and for cultivate my own entrepreneurial potential. So you do have those tools and steps. You can actually reframe those entrepreneurial attributes from the abstract characteristics to attainable behaviors with a growth mindset, like Carol Dweck, the Professor Carol Dweck suggested in her book. So you will start with a why and think from inside out. In that way, you will have an easier journey. You will have a lot happier journey and easier job to activate your purpose, to get things done better, to have a better outcome and a higher probability to be successful. And through the think, act, learn steps. So life is art. Your journey is a masterpiece in the making. And that masterpiece will not have to be perfect. Like I told you from the very beginning, all my masterpieces I collected, I think they are masterpieces, are the ones that artists made mistakes to begin with. And they figure out their way to redesign and refine into the pieces that in my eyes sees they are masterpieces. And that makes me happy. So find the beauty in every day. No matter what you do, where you are, having your own business or not, you don't have to own a business to cultivate an entrepreneurial behavior. And this could be everyday thing you could do it. Could be a methodology you can use to guide your life into your masterpiece making. And you are an entrepreneur if you prototype your idea, you add value to things or people around you. This is the last takeaway I would like you to have today. If you have an idea of your why, you believe in your idea and learn from what you have done and persistently, you will transform and create the life you dream of. Well, thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the question and answer session, and here we are.
Lily, thank you for such a wonderful topic. You really brought kind of what is important in nursing to have a purpose and why, and caring and helping. But how can you use those traits in different ways and different opportunities that will help maybe not only one patient but many patients? And I thank you. I think it was really interesting your think, do, learn cycles and the starting with the why, but then also your examples of opportunities that are out there for people. You gave people a lot to think about. So thank you for a wonderful presentation. We'll move to the questions and answers. So the first question we have up is, where do you see the profession of nursing in 10 years?
Well, that's a very good question. It's thank you, John. It's a very big question to ask. I think let's see from the perspective of the nursing in general. I see our nursing in the near future. Let's say 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years way. In 3 years, I think probably in general, our nursing profession may not be able to change dramatically, like what I just talked about, those mindset and those things. People may not be able to respond in a very quick way. But in 5 or 10 years, I do see that hope, because our new generation of nurse profession, they are different. They grew up in a total different society and a different era, different time for them to connect their daily lives with the technology. Technology is the key right now. With the tech booming time right now, especially with this COVID effect to our whole society, our healthcare model and our healthcare new way to serve our patients is going to be totally different. It has been changing dramatically right now. Even after COVID, I think those effects will be continue in our healthcare organization for a long time. So for that reason, I really urge our new generations to really take the lead for the technology part, and really think that could be a breakthrough for our profession, in my opinion, because technology is the power, is the knowledge, combined with what you learn from the nursing school, is just a perfect combination. And that is what I think is the future of our nursing. Technology is going to bring a broader, it's infinite. It's such an abundant things await for our nursing profession. And from there, trying to cultivate our entrepreneurial behaviors like I talk about today, and trying to train us on daily basis for those behaviors. Those are all attainable behaviors. We don't have to be born with that. And we can get from that mindset of growth mindset, like Carol Dweck mentioned in her book, we can actually get us to the point that we can devote us to this profession to a level that we can learn anything, we can accomplish anything we want to. We don't have to think, oh, we are lower level than the doctors or medical field, which is the secondary for comparing in terms of medical staff. nursing and medical, they usually compare us as secondary thing, right? So this will be a breakthrough through technology, through entrepreneurship behavior training. And that will be the two keys. In 5-10 years, you will see a huge difference for our profession.
So
That would be
many,
the hope.
yeah, many opportunities coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And we're positioned well for them, I would agree.
right.
How do you recommend to stay engaged in nursing and pursue your passion?
I think that it's a very traditional vision is that when we graduate, we got to find a job in the hospital. That is pretty much a sole channel for us to think for many years like that. And who else would find a position in a different area, even not even in the community nursing? It would be very rare to begin with. It feels like that our training, it guides us to the kind of a direction that we gotta do this bedside care first before we can do something else. So that mindset, if you can change that mindset to a growth mindset, you will think that it will not be necessary, because what you learn in the nursing school has so broad, and what you learn is the skills and steps and tools to develop your future in whichever way you want. When you think about nursing philosophy, it's combining psychology, medical, and social and psychological. Anything you can think of that you want to develop that path. And now you know from today, I hope, now you know you got this entrepreneurial path. And that could combine with any niche that you want to go, any path you want to grow. And it's about train yourself, directly communicate with the center of your brain to change that behavior, to learn how to develop, how to cultivate that behavior. And so you will gain that confidence from each daily training of yourself. And from there, the path is very wide. It's not just a hospital thing. It could be anywhere in the society. It could be any field that you have interest in.
So Lily, along that same line, we just had a question come in of what was the most difficult part of your journey?
My difficult part of my journey is to jump off the well. To tell the truth, I have no way to think when I was working in the hospital. I have no easy way to be out, because whatever you do, it feels like it's not enough. Whatever you think is secondary. Whatever you want to change, well, you're not in power. Even you're a nurse manager, a lot of times there's layers and layers of policies here and there. It's just not easy to jump off the well, to think the things, to do the things you want to do, to go through the ways that you want to create. If you are cultivate your, it could be because I try so hard to connect here and there. I was raised by my grandparents most of the time. It's not a strange thing in China that at that time that you go to your grandparents' house place all the time, because it's a very common thing. They happen to be a very advanced thinkers. And my grandpa used to tell me that he was a very successful businessman in the mining field. But then when the communists occupied the mainland and everything changed, they got robbed, everything. So my grandma actually is a very strong woman. I got that part, luckily. And so she's the only daughter of a few villages of a landlord. Okay, so she learns how to be a perfect a wife to be, a housewife to be. That's her job. So actually end up her embroidery skills was the only life resource for the 8 people in her family. So she support by using her housewife to be skills to support the whole family to survive the revolution. So can you imagine if they can do that? What else I cannot do? So they really inspire me. So find the role model in your life, find the inspiration, your motivation, and search your why. think from inside out. That's what I would suggest to
Thank
get
you, Lily.
out well.
There's a couple more questions. What agencies or networking groups are established around entrepreneurship as a resource for nurses?
Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of them. As far as I know, we have a few organizations on the market, but I don't believe that is supported by any college base, like a research base. And it's pretty much like association wise, like somebody probably bought that association as the business to run, that kind of private type. But it's still a resource for us to read the books. I think the first step for our nursing students, or maybe the first time triers, is to read a lot of entrepreneurial books. That is a way to cultivate our mindset first. Like the book I mentioned, the mindset, that book I would really highly encourage you to read, because that's the first step of me to actually activate my purpose. So
Does that book contain tips for if someone wants to start a consulting business?
no, that's a book to fundamentally guide you a mindset.
So another question was, what if someone was interested in starting a consulting service?
Oh, then that you will need to find a professional consulting um, uh, organization that to get started if you don't have any experience at all. Like our nursing career consulting, we do that kind of consulting. We help people to plan the strategic plan, marketing plan, and all that. But there's tons of professional business consulting company out there as well. In terms of a nursing business, I don't think there are a whole bunch of them. I'm not aware of. There's a lot of them. Um, most of them are doing it on the side, like not full-time devoted to the business or to the path that our nurses want to go. Because the whole culture here, the thing is though, if all our nursing college of nursing all over the nation, we pay more attention to this topic, if we dig into more research for this kind of topic, and we share like at a more broader and deeper level for our students to know this is an important topic and skills for our students to learn, for our next generation nurses to have. And I think the future will be a lot better. Right now, there are a lot of professional business consulting just in general. They are in the market a lot. But for nursing specifically, I couldn't tell any specific ways, but there's a lot of association specifically for, so like a nurse practitioner association, like a legal consulting, legal nurse consulting association. There's all kinds of specific association, like a case management society, American, like a CMSA. Yeah,
So really, once you find your passion, if that's somewhere where you want to go down, network with the people who are doing that type of work, also to enhance your
I would
skills.
encourage you to define your area that you are interested in. And then you search for the association that you want to join in. Like usually the nursing professional association, they offer a lot of learning resources. And then they offer a lot of list for book reading. I think on the book of my unlock, I have a note at the end of my book. I list all the associations and resources, names, and contact there. Yeah, you may want to take a look of that list there. It's a appendix at the end of my book there.
And that will probably help you get some mentors also in the fields that you're interested in. So
Right.
thank you. I think we have time for one last question. And I'm not sure, you kind of touched on it, but I want to make sure for this person. They just said, what can I do as a pre-nursing student before I become a nursing student?
A pre-nursing becomes nursing. All right. What can you do? I mean, nursing school are very competitive right now. We have a lot of demands with this ongoing COVID situation. The demand is going to be higher and higher in the future, in the near future. So as a pre-nursing students, I would encourage you to think about your unique way to compete. because you're going to competing with a lot of good students. They want to be in this profession, and you're going to compete with people who have callings. 75% of us have callings as based on the research. So what is your calling? It's your first thing you want to compete with. Think from the why, like I said. And from there, your action will be activate your purpose. And then you have a lot more power for what you do, how you are going to do it. So the probability for your successful rate will be a lot higher. And I would suggest, yeah, always think from the inside out. Yeah.
Well, it looks like that wraps up our Q&A session. Is there anything you'd like to add, Lily, before we sign out?
I don't. I just if somebody still have questions, and feel free to email me, and I will. I can't promise on the same day, but within 24, 48 hours, and I will respond the email pretty quick. Yeah.
Well, you had a wonderful presentation, and we thank everybody that participated. And I'll speak for our group here. We want you to stay safe during these uncertain and difficult times. But we want to thank you for attending. We hope you find your passion and your purpose, and we look forward to seeing you again at our next conversation series. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, John.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye.